Well, hey there, it's Jenny Wolek with the Wolek Group. I've had so much fun over the years getting to learn and grow by talking with top leaders, coaches, and mentors. And Terrie Foster-Nowland, you are one of them. And I'm so excited to have you share some of your agent success secrets, that the life lessons and leadership as well that you've acquired over all these years in real estate. So share with everyone who you are and what you do.
Okay, well, that'd be a long story sharing who I am. However, one of my favorite podcasts I've ever done was called Your Story Matters. And I truly, truly believe to be a great connector in the real estate community or in any other place in this world, you've got to learn to connect with people well. You got to be self-aware about that. So, Jenny, I'm excited to talk. And I'm at the time in my life where I love sharing the story. I actually have had to accept loving being a mentor at this point. And that's a whole nother story. But I got my start in the real estate industry 40 years ago this year. And that feels odd saying that. And I was listening to Mark King's bio, basically, and I've been business partners with Mark King. And there was a few things that he said in that bio story that I thought, oh my gosh, we're even more alike than I thought we were. So with the exception, I did not graduate from college. So I have to, a lot of people might not be proud of that, but I'm okay with that. So in the industry 40 years, and I actually followed my mother's footsteps, and my father-in-law was a builder. And it was my father-in-law that finally said, I don't understand, why you're not selling real estate. And I said, because I watched my mom do it and I swore I'd never do it again. That's why. And there was a little coaching that went into that because I was going to go to college and be an elementary education teacher. And that wouldn't have been appropriate for me. So it was a good thing that I didn't. And it's a great thing that I chose this. And 40 years ago, we think we're in a different market now. That was an extremely different market. Interest rates were 16.5%. And quite frankly, I didn't know any better. I think sometimes that's a life lesson for us. It's better not to know and just go after it. In fact, at Mega Camp, right, we had a speaker that talked about being obsessed versus being interested. And I think we have to be obsessed with what we do. So every phase of your life, as you grow older, you have to be obsessed. I built my single agent real estate career by sitting at a metal desk with a phone and a card system that I literally just dialed back through. I've dialed through phone books. This was before Do Not Call. I've dialed through newlywed announcements in the newspaper, all of those things that we used to do, expired listings. It was honestly on a cold call that I had reframed in my mind that I had a reason to call. So nothing was ever a cold call for me. And I built my career off listings. And one day, my mom and her partner said, I think you should be in management. So I kind of did both for a while, and that turned into being a recruiter as well. And then in 1990, we merged with the largest real estate firm, women-owned real estate firm in Tulsa. And we were selling Tulsa by the yard, so that might give some of you that note. And I learned so much, right? And at that point when I got out of sales because they wouldn't allow me to sell and be in management training and recruiting. And it was during that time that I reignited with the woman who was my original productivity coach in 1983. Her name was Mo Anderson. And she found me at this conference, sat me down. We started talking about Keller Williams then. And honestly, Sherry, after that, Lewis, started talking with me, and the rest was history from 1996 on with me and Keller Williams. So I became a team leader. We opened up an office in Owasso, Oklahoma, and we started the journey there. And so I've done that ever since. I got ownership in this market center. And then Mo came to me once again and said, hey, honey, I want you to be a MAPS coach. And I was like, no, I don't want to do that. I got this whole gig going. I'm going to be an operating partner. I became a MAPS coach. And that was 14 years ago. And it was a slow roll for me because there were three things I was doing at once. don't recommend that too much for anyone. You need to have sole focus. And from there on, I became a MAPS coach. I was an operating partner. We opened up another market center, Des Moines, Iowa, and that's all slowly shifted around over the years, and opportunity has just come up everywhere. Coaching has been the thing that rises to the surface, though, Jenny, because it's the one thing that I think I'll do until I don't do anything anymore. And I'm not sure when that will be. I mean, for goodness sake, my mom sold real estate till she was 90. So ran MLS stats and everything. So we can all do whatever we want to do. And I think the key to life, though, is being able to do what you want to do, even when you don't have to. And coaching is that thing for me, honestly. So I'll never not be a realtor. I'll never not be with Keller Williams, unless Gary isn't around anymore and doesn't have the company. I don't see that happening. So, and I'll always be a coach. And Debbie Frapp and I created our own little company off of a whim a few years ago so that we could reach out to people that were outside of real estate and do training, even if it is inside of real estate, around self-improvement, self-leadership, self-awareness, and that's called Matters of Influence. And even though we really haven't put high focus on it, it's become something that really inspires both of us. And it literally started at an event, sitting at a table with some people that I can name their names right now and everybody would know them. And they went, why don't you all do a podcast and make everybody feel like they're sitting around listening to the two of you talk about life? And we went, oh, okay, whatever. And we did it. And then it just became fun to us. So what was once a job is now something that's very fun. And, I wish I hadn't waited to start my true life by design until I was 46. And yet it all worked out the way it should, the way it intended. And so that's who I am. That's where I am. Remarried to a wonderful man 12 years ago, which is a whole nother part of my story that I may get to share, when we're all together, that I don't share often. But it is an integral part of who I am, and gave me the freedom to be authentic and do this thing and take off. So that's Terrie Foster-Nowland right there.
Wow, Terrie.
Oh, yeah. And I am a gaga. I'm a gaga grandma, whatever you want to call it. Soon to be of 5. She's due right now anytime. So that's a big thing in my life.
Family is so important, and it's so obvious if anyone gets to know you at all. I heard a couple things inside of that. So first off, if Mo Anderson tells you to do something, you do it. So that's the number one lesson.
Yeah.
And then, what's funny and not so funny is that, you thought you're going to be an elementary ed teacher and now you really are a teacher. Isn't that interesting? I have the same exact story, Terrie. That was my major for a while in college. And I thought, no, I don't want to be a teacher. I want to make more money than that. I'm above this. And look at us now. Like, we find our deepest passion from sharing and teaching and giving back. Isn't that interesting? But
I think the best thing we can do is serve our teachers. Like, I think, one of the things we did as a market center for years is we opened school with the teachers. We were in their classroom, helping them put their books up. We were bringing them lunch. And then we helped them close down their classroom. It's one of the biggest community services that we did years ago. And I actually miss it. And I think I'm going to get it started again, because I think that ties back into that whole teacher thing and appreciation.
So I love that. And I think if anybody's watching or knows you in any fashion, they know that you get stuff done.
I will, girl. I will.
Where does that inner drive come from? Has it always been there? You started out as a real estate agent in a really challenging market, although you didn't know any better, and you not only survived, you thrived. You became a leader and you got uncomfortable and you thrived. Top leader, accolades and awards. Then you became a MAPS coach, and same there. So what keeps you going? What is that in you?
It's funny you say that. I just wrote a newsletter on ordinary me, It may turn into a book someday because it's ordinary me. I don't have that. I lived under a bridge story. I don't have I didn't have running water in my house story. I don't have any exciting stories like that. I grew up in a very conservative household. My dad was a firefighter, and mom basically I was the baby of 5, and we were a stay-at-home family. And she decided one day it was her time when I was in 6th grade to go get a real estate license. And I was like, and I grew up with a different generation. My parents could almost have been grandparents to kids my age at that point. So generation changes that drive a little bit. I grew up in you don't throw anything away. You don't get anything new until you really need it. I thought we were broke. Like, I literally thought we were broke all the time by the way we lived. And it was a surprise when I grew up and learned differently about it. So I think that I got a hard work ethic because it was demonstrated to me. It was that go win. In fact, I was looking at some pictures the other day when my mom was 65. And I'm looking going, okay, well, I'm not 65 yet, but she still was working at 65 big time. She owned a company. She owned an independent brokerage. And it just put things into perspective. There's a never quit. Be happy and make the best with what you have. So a lot of that was something that was just in my timeline. It was there. It was all I knew. It was my perception of the world. But some of that is my God-given personality. I will run people over to get things I want if I really want. And yet I still live a fairly conservative lifestyle. People wouldn't know that because I don't need all those things in my world. But yet I think it's just part of it is serving other people, and part of it is helping others see something bigger than what they've already got. I'm really passionate about making sure people are okay with who they are, their story, being good. I think we heard a little bit of that last week too, being happy. You got to figure out what happiness is. It's not about what you're seeing or the person you're comparing yourself to. And I was just, give me a goal and I'm going to go accomplish it. In fact, Sherry Lewis used to say, I know exactly how to get to you. I'll just tell you it can't be done. And you'll go, I'll show you. Right. And if I had to do anything different, I think you've heard me say this before, I would definitely not ask for as much permission as I maybe have in my life, but ask for forgiveness in some areas. I get respect a little confused with just going ahead and doing things. And so I do a whole little piece on that too. So that's it. I think it's natural. A little bit of it's natural. And I will say, this is part of my story. A lot of my life before now and before David was a life where I was the breadwinner. And when you're the breadwinner, you sometimes don't have a choice. So you take care of your family and you take care of your dreams, whatever the cost. So that's
let's get into something I want to touch on that you just said. You said that it was modeled for you. Your mom was a hard worker. Your family worked hard. That work ethic came from seeing it. Well, what if somebody that's watching and wants to take something away from this time that, what if they didn't have it modeled for them?
Excuse me.
Where do they go?
That's a great question. That's where we come into play, right? That's where mentorship comes into play. And you're a mom. So you want to be the parent that attracts everyone. Like you want your kids to bring their friends to your home, right? You want to be that parent. Or maybe I was odd that way, but I wanted to be able to see, not from a controlling helicopter mom perspective, but I knew there were kids that my kids really needed to be friends with that might have felt uncomfortable at times. But if they were in my home, they could see what could be real, right? They could see another side. So I think that people that aren't exposed to what it could look like can be exposed by us as leaders looking for them, if that answers your question. I don't think they're going to see it until they have to see it. And we have to be the force that helps them see something different, which means we've got to work all aspects of our life, friends, family, community, church. We've got to go seek that. Who can we change? And Generation Z that's coming up, I really geek out on the generational stuff, and Generation Z that's coming up is going to be a whole different breed. And they want mentors. They want to see different aspects of life, even though they can get on social media and they can look at their phone and they can find it and Google it, and they can even figure out how to Google, get a job if they want to and act like that and go get it. I think we have to seek that out. But if you're out there and you haven't had an example and you're listening to this or you're coming to training, then awareness is the key. That's why we focus on self-awareness, Debbie Frapp and I do, because when you become self-aware, then it's totally in your court to go, how do I get above this? How do I break through this ceiling of achievement? Do I want to? Who can inspire me? And you help those people find that way. That's why living out our story is so important.
Yeah, and inside of the 6 personal perspectives, we learn that successful people are self-aware. Right. They know their strengths and their weaknesses, and they, hire or find help in those weaknesses or leverage them out and really go hard on who is their unique self.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. So Terrie, as we wrap up here, you mentioned your podcast. So how can people best find you, and how can they follow you? How can they learn more?
Well, I'm excited. We're getting ready to launch a new website that's going to have a members only piece to it. It'll come out soon. And you can find us at mattersofinfluence.com and on any podcast site. We're there. We have a YouTube channel. So we're out there. Just Google it. You can find it. Go to any podcast listening, app and find us there. That's how you find us. Please be aware you can go on social media. Matters of Influence is on social media. Terrie Foster-Nowland, my long name, is on there. Please go in there and like us, friend us. You can sign up for newsletters there. Someday I'll get really good at writing blogs. But we got the newsletter thing going. So you pick up bits and pieces there and come to training. Come be with us. Subscribe to it.
Well, you only have 40 years of being successful in the real estate business. So
yeah, well, maybe not all 40, but yeah. I would never, people always say, what do you regret? Nothing. I really don't, because everything that I might count as a regret or a failure taught me the biggest lessons of my life. And it was extremely tough at that time in my life. But yet the story takes care of that. I feel like I'm living the life, even though I'm not looking like I'm living the life. I'm living the life. I'm getting what I want in life. So
yeah. Gary Keller in Quantum Leap says, when you see a successful person, you're looking at a big fat failure.
That's exactly right. Over and over and over again. And it's not fun. And it's scary.
It isn't fun, but it's been fun talking to you, and I can't wait to see you soon.
Oh, I can't either. Thank you.
Thanks, Terrie. I'll talk to you later.
All right. Bye.